Hey, what up, y'all? It's your player partner, Cardo Mac, chilling here in Santa Maria, California today with one of the 805's legendary rappers, DJ Dominator.
What's up, homie?
What's up?
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me to your spot.
Hell yeah.
Cool little studio here. Had a good session yesterday.
Yeah.
Badass show.
Yep. We did a show out in Napomo, Rancho Napomo, in the area that I'm from, Napomo, California.
Yeah. Good show. A lot of turnout.
We celebrated it was actually the third album release party for my new album, Time Traveler.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, the first show was out in what was it, Santa Ana. The second show was in Oxnard, and the third show was in my backyard in Napomo.
Why'd you guys do 3?
I just felt like every town here in this area that, we're all old school towns, and I felt like kind of felt like we should just
kind of owed it to them, or
just marketing in those areas, in the backyard and all these areas would be perfect to do it.
Mm-hmm. A good show. If you guys didn't go, you guys missed it.
Yeah. Missed out on a good show.
So could you tell us a little bit about your background? You said you grew up in Napomo?
Yeah, I grew up in Napomo. I was born in Santa Maria and spent most of my life in Napomo. We moved into Napomo in 1986, 85, 86.
So what was it like growing up in Napomo?
Growing up in Napomo, it was I had a good childhood in Napomo. It was fun. Like I've said before, it was like kind of like I grew up in the area where there was a lot of breakers and break dancing and people around the streets having a good time, spinning on their backs, rolling out the cardboard with their stereos, things like that.
Those are the memories you remember as a child.
Yeah.
Did you try to imitate it, or you were just kind of soaking it in?
Oh no, I imitated it a lot. I wasn't that great at it, but I liked breakdancing and pop locking. That was like the intro to music. Part of the intro to music for me.
Were you able to catch on to it eventually?
Yeah, I was all right. If I would have caught on to a great, I'd be a breakdancer right now instead of a producer and a singer and rapper.
So as a child, who were some of your musical influences?
Actually, my musical influences were my parents, because my parents played the music of our soundtrack of our life. So, and a lot of the stuff that they played was funky, soulful, and rockish a little bit.
Did they play any instruments, or was it just all records?
It was pretty much all records and 8 tracks at that time. But they played stuff like, a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire, Stevie Wonder, soulful stuff around me. So I think that's where I picked up on, that evolving to funk for me. That was the beginning of, that was soul. And then there was the funky stuff. Earth, Wind, and Fire got a little funky too, stuff like that. And then Kool and the Gang eventually came, through the house and, just stuff like that. Was
there a main group or artist that you think you eventually kind of imitated?
Yeah, I did a lot of imitating, imitating stuff like Bar-Kays, Rick James, Earth, Wind, and Fire, One Way, Zap, all those groups that had that funk, that hard snare, and those funky vocals, Confunction, stuff like that. A lot of the stuff and the soulful stuff, SOS Band. I don't want to say I imitated their voices like the girl groups, but I imitated some of their music, their production and stuff like that, their producers.
Did you do it unconsciously, or you were purposely trying to
both
sound like them?
Both. Some at the beginning more purposely, and then maybe once I started learning more of it, I want to say subconsciously, because it just stays in your mind after that. Everything that you learn. If you think about the way you learn things when you're a child, you don't know how to talk, and you got to learn from somebody. So once you do learn your syllables and you learn your speech, you end up talking, and you put your own sentences together in your own phrases in your own ways. It's the same thing with music. You got to copy it from someone, and once you learn it, you're on your way.
What do you say as a young child, you knew that music was going to be something that you were going to participate in eventually as an adult? You just enjoyed the music just for the music?
I think I enjoyed the music just for the music when I was a child. Once I started learning to DJ and stuff like that, I got more involved in wanting to do something. I just wasn't sure exactly what it was, but I knew gripping my hands on those records and cutting them back and forth and mixing and all that shit was the first. I think that was the beginning of me wanting to learn what it was. But as a child, I think I just liked singing it and enjoying it. Because if I think about it right now, I think as a child I enjoyed music more than I can now, because now I critique things that I don't want to critique. I can't enjoy
a song on it.
I can't enjoy a song the way I used to when I was little. When I was little, I would be able to sing to it and just kind of enjoy it. And it was the soundtrack, like it would remind me of things that were outside. Now it doesn't remind me of things like that anymore. Now my ears are hearing what could they have done better? What vocal he did? Was he off key a little bit when he was singing? What instrument should have been there? Or all the instruments, they're all perfect. And I love the way they are. So I'm studying what the string pads are doing versus, kicking back and enjoying it the way I used to, running around the house and enjoying hearing it,
So you're obviously a perfectionist.
Definitely, yeah.
And you can see it now in your
not
music,
purposely. I'm not because a lot of people will say I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to say I am, but I in my brain, because of my behavior with music, I know that I am a perfectionist.
So at what age do you think it finally sparked in that, I do want to do something with the music?
As far as like musicianship and things like that, like I said, I consider turntables an instrument, because you're doing things rhythmically as a DJ versus just the old school DJs would just drop the needle down and just play the records. But then when you start getting involved with blending beats together and matching them and scratching to on beat and doing things like that, I feel like that's instrumentation. And that, I want to say, I started doing that around 10 years old. DJing or learning to cut. Because it wasn't DJing for parties. It was at home studying and learning how to manipulate the records to do whatever you want them to do. And I think that is musicianship. Along with that, I started playing little keys, little lines, little melodies on the keyboard, on a little Casio keyboard. And then I want to say seriously, like being a producer and things like that, that was around the age of 21 when I started getting into like serious production and really wanting to know how to use a keyboard and sync things up, sync all the sounds up, and play all the melodies and things like that.
So that's further out already into
that's further. So
at 10 is pretty much when it kind of sparked more of interest. But then when did you actually want like actual DJ equipment to?
I wanted it as soon as I could get it, but I being when you're 10 years old, your family's not going to go out and buy you two 1200s. They're not going to help you buy two 1200s. That's crazy. Oh, well, actually, there's families that do it now because I've seen those kids on YouTube that do it. Those kids are dope.
So you had to hustle for yourself to get the equipment.
Later, it took a little while before I was able to get a couple of 1200.
How long would you say?
My first set of turntables that we had gotten, I took them out of there's these things that they used to have called consoles. And it would be like a piece of furniture that was in the house. And they had these turntables that you could actually pull off and you could put them, we took them and made our own coffin out of you know what a coffin is? No. A coffin is like that's a coffin right there, that piece. He'll show it to you guys in a little while. But the coffin is actually like a case that holds your turntables and your mixer in. And they were expensive. So me and my cousin made our own coffin, and we took the turntables and kind of made what I thought would be like a DJ system. So I started with that, learning, how they give kids like a cheap car the way they should give kids before they give them an expensive car. That's the way it was with us and our turntables.
So that was all imagination to build your coffin?
Pretty much, and kind of doing what I saw the other DJs doing, but our own little... Exactly. After a little while, I made from DJing from quinceañeras, parties, weddings, and stuff like that. I made enough money to buy a turntable set, but they weren't 1200s; they were 1500s, and those were models that came after the 1200s. They had the actual platter had like a smooth rounding versus all the little bumps that are on the 1200s, and the speed pitch was digital. So you'd have to either tap it or hold it down instead of sliding it like the 1200s did, which I think they personally kind of downgraded by doing that, but they still worked, and they were still not belt driven. They were still direct turntables where you could actually cut without the record going. You could actually cut, and they still sounded good. So as long as I could cut on them, and use my finger for pitching instead of using the actual pitch control, I was good.
So at what age did he start doing like the quinceañeras and
That was
type of
about
gigs?
that was about 13, around 13 years
really?
old. Yeah,
That
I was
young?
I was doing clubs, quinceañeras, parties.
And people trusted you at that age to
Well,
put out
yeah,
the music
well
you wanted?
they trusted me because they had already seen me do other gigs.
Oh.
So it took a little while for me to, like, my first gig. Everyone's first gig, you're a nervous wreck because you're a kid and you're looking around and you're like, oh shit, all these people are staring at me because they're not knowing if I'm gonna be dope or not, But I think it took one or two gigs before I started getting a little comfortable and I just started killing it. And once people see me killing it, they're like, oh, that kid, I want that kid to be my DJ, And so based off of all the quinceañeras and parties and things like that, I started doing clubs and stuff like that. And they trusted me because they seen my work, There was,
Your work spoke for itself.
Yes, definitely.
So what was your original DJ name?
DJ Art was my original DJ name. I just went by my first name, Art.
And when did he change it to Dominator?
I want to say that was about when I was maybe about 16, 17.
So you went about 3 years?
Maybe almost 18, I'm thinking. 17, 18, sometime around there.
So you went a few years as DJ Art.
Yeah. Yep.
And what inspired the change of the name?
I actually would have never changed it if it wasn't for one of my homies telling me, Doug, you can't go by DJ Art. That's not a DJ name. You know what I mean? Your name that's your government
your
name.
Real name.
That's your government name. You need a dope name. You need a DJ name. So he named me Dominator. My homie named me Dominator. My homie DDZ, Frank Ramirez, out of Santa Barbara.
Why that name?
He gave me that name because, first of all, I didn't have a DJ name. Second of all, it took him about an hour to come up with it. An hour or two. He called me back because he had told me I was playing my mixes on his radio station. He would play them for me. I would send him in mixes, and he would play DJ Art. And then one day he's all, you need a DJ name, dude.
He wasn't feeling it?
No, he wasn't feeling it. So he had hit me back, and he was like, I got a name for you. It's going to be Dominator. And I was like, Dominator? I goes, oh, that's fucking dope.
So you liked it from the gate?
I liked it from the gate. And I said, what made you come up with that name? And he says, well, first of all, in your area, you're the one, at being as young as you are, dominating that area and cutting up. I never see no one in your area scratch and cut up the way you do, which now there's a lot of people that are way the fuck past me. But at that time, in that area, at that age, I was the only kid doing that. So he called me Dominator, and it's close to my last name, Dominguez.
So this was what, early 90s?
Yeah.
Early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s.
So for how long did you actually do the DJ gigs?
I DJ. You mean until I retired as a DJ?
Like, do you still do it now, or?
I don't do mobile DJ now, so I won't do a club or quinceañera or anything like that.
But until eventually you evolved to be a artist,
right? And that was around. Let me think. Because when I started being an artist, I still DJ'd for a little while. I want to say I might have retired mobile DJing, and maybe when I was around 21, 22, around there.
Was there a reason for that?
I had a lot of, we started touring, and I was making more money doing that than I was DJing, and then I got kind of tired of.
So Triple C was already out by that time.
Yes, yeah. Well, it was already starting around that time.
So how did it come about?
The Triple C?
Triple C.
Well, let me tell you why I stopped DJing. One of the reasons why I stopped DJing, I got kind of tired of people coming up to me and asking me for songs, and then I would play the songs, and they'd be in the restroom while I'd be playing the fucking songs, and they'd come back and say, "Hey, dog, I still want to hear Genius of Love, Tom Tom Club." I'd be like, "Motherfucker, I just played your fucking song, dude." And then he's like, "No, dog, I need you to play it." And then there'd be drunk people bumping against the tables, making my needles jump, because we used vinyl at the time, not Serato. So the needles would jump and and when your needle jumps and someone causes it, everyone's dancing and they look at you. They don't look at the dude that bumped your table. Yeah. They look at you and they're like, "Boo, get off the fucking, you're fired." You'd hear shit like that because of this dumb fat ass fucking bumping against my fucking table, all drunk, dancing and hitting the table, like the Kill and Play movie. Like,
so it just eventually became annoying.
Yeah, that shit became annoying. I still love spinning. I still love scratching. but I just didn't like doing
a controlled environment.
Exactly. I didn't like doing the mobile gigs for people that didn't appreciate it, you know? And not only that, it got to a point where I didn't like playing some of the music that was out, you know, which makes me, at that point, I realized I wasn't a true DJ. I was just, you know, someone that, a specialist, if you want to call it, a specialist, because I only liked playing certain music like funk and old school, West Coast and stuff like that. Once the music started changing and becoming, I don't want to say shitty, because who am I to tell these people that their category of music is shitty, but it just wasn't my cup of tea and I didn't want to spin it anymore. You know what I mean? So at that point, I just felt that I was a specialist. So if someone had a funk party going on or they had something like that, I'd show up with some records and spin, and that's about it. That
depended on the customer then.
Not even
kind of what you knew, what they were catering to. I
like spinning events that they're catering to something and there's no requests, where people aren't asking, can you play this, can you play that? If they're, I like doing events where there's no requests, and they're like, and they put that on the flyer. No requests, absolutely no requests. So I could play whatever the fuck I want to play at that point.
Eventually, what do you tell them? Hey, put this on the flyer.
Mm-hmm.
You did?
No, I didn't have to do that. There's people that now that do that. Oh. Like my boys, the Vinylistics. I'm sporting his shirt right now. That's one of his mottos: no requests. I fucking love that, dog, because there's not many places that will put that on their flyers.
Have you ever done a show for them?
Shout out to my boy Chuco.
So you stopped DJing at one point, and then what came first? You being a solo artist or you being a part of Triple C?
Me being a part of Triple C came first.
How did that come about?
I had been dabbling in, I don't want to say producing, but just looping beats on a cheap sampler for other groups. And eventually me and Rebel came in contact together, and through a mutual friend. And we gelled really well. And
so you guys weren't like homies from back in the day that you like, hey, let's start something up?
No, we went to the same high school and we were homies, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of ran in the same circle with a bunch of other people that we kind of all knew each other.
Did you guys ever talk about music? Like, hey, maybe we should do a group?
Actually, Rebel was from a party crew. Do you remember party crews back in the day? And they would throw these big old raves and play different types of music, and you know, there were taggers and things like that. And they hired me to DJ for some of their gigs a few times. So Rebel knew me as a DJ, and eventually, when he had heard some of the demos and things like that, he ended up in the studio at some point, and we ended up pretty much meshing and doing work together.
Was it just messing around, or you guys were like, well, let's start a project? Or were you just like, oh, let's see what comes out of it?
We were just having fun making music and wanted to see. I think we wanted to see what it was going to sound like. You know, once we recorded it, it sounded really good, really good. So we kept going, and it started to be our goal to create an album and a project.
What were people's reactions when they heard it?
They loved it. It was just most of the people were people in our town and in our area. They would bump our tapes. They would, you know, we'd give a few of the homies copies of the songs, and next thing you know, they'd freaking distribute it through the whole through the whole town.
Mm-hmm. And eventually, at what point did you notice that it started branching out even further than out of just your own town? Or were you not aware of it?
It started branching out. Little homies would bring new other people from other towns, and the tape started to go out like that. But I think what really spread it out throughout different areas was releasing a CD. Once we polished up the project and put it out, they distributed it all over the United States. You know, anywhere that would play Latino music, Latin rap, Chicano rap, stuff like that.
So at what point did you guys think like, oh, we should actually put a real album out there?
I think after we noticed that our demos started to polish up more, I felt that it was time. We all felt that it was time. Once the song started to sound dope, I think that we pretty much felt that it was time to put the new album out.
How long would you say that it took from your demos?
I think we worked on them. We were working on them for about a year, I want to say. A year, because it was early 97 once we started working on demos.
And did you plan on releasing everything independent, or did you think, oh, we need somebody to help us out?
Well, I think the most of the time that we were working on it, Tomas Solis was already around from Underworld Records. He was already around us already. So at that point, we kind of already knew what avenue we were going to go once we were polished enough to record an album.
Which shout out to Tomas Solis. He's the one that invited me out to yesterday's event.
Yeah, definitely.
While we're here today. So at what point did you actually link up with Tomas?
Well, we both have mutual family members. And so I would see him, every once in a while. And like I was telling you earlier, Tomas used to work a place called the Soundbox and the Napomo Swap Meet. So I had met him through there. I had seen him there, and I would go over there and talk to him every once in a while. And
you would like buy music off of him, or just
I would. At first, it started with me buying music off of him, and then I started helping him in the shop every once in a while. I'd be one of the kids that he would give me some money or let me take whatever music I wanted to take as long as I helped around the shop doing things every once in a while. And
so it was like an indoor swap meet, or it was outdoor?
No, it was an outdoor swap meet. They had a bunch of little shacks in the back, and he owned one of those shacks, and he would sell music back there.
And you showed him your music, and
well, at first it started with us with him working with CLS, and they were touring with him with Johnny J and Night Owl, and Johnny J was Tupac's producer,
which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know that till Night Owl put me on game about that.
Yeah, he was a Tupac's producer. He produced a lot of Tupac's hits. But he was on tour. He had his first rap album out, and which, of course, he did the production for. And I went along on that tour and learned a lot, helping selling CDs and things like that, and just learning, talking to everyone, and learning how to be on stage and things like that. And I didn't know
what things were you looking for.
I wasn't looking for anything. I was just watching and learning.
Observing.
I didn't know that I was going to end up using these things later because I wasn't a rapper yet. I wasn't even interested in that yet. I was just amazed in being able to be there, So shortly after that, that's when we started our demo, and Tomas was pretty much our avenue on getting the music out into the industry, into the getting distributed throughout the states and everywhere.
So you knew he was going to be the man to.
Yes, definitely. Music. Yeah, I there was no one else that I think we were going to go to at that point.
Mm-hmm. So he owns 805 Underworld Records.
Yes.
Yeah. And what happened when you guys actually put the first project out?
It blew over, man. It did great. We got a good reaction from it. The first project, and the first project was probably about half of the demos that we had done, and we put all those out first. It was the demos.
Did you remix them, or they were all original?
No, they were pretty much the demos that we recorded off the 4-track player. We recorded a bunch of demos at home. We used about half of those because, like I said, we were polishing up those demos so that we can go into the studio and to record them. And what we ended up was doing were half the original of the demos that we did. We put them out on a CD, and then the other half I saved. I wasn't going to put those out. We were going to go into a studio and record those at that point. I saved those gems for the studio. I was like, fuck that. We're not putting these ones out yet.
Were you going to different studios, or were you going to
We were pretty much all going to the same studio, to a studio owned by Doug Tamuka, which would this guy, Doug Tamuka, would end up helping me put out my first solo album later on, but we'll get to that in a little while. But we pretty much went to that studio, but we were pretty much in and out whenever we would go record because we had everything so down that we kind of knew what we were going to do when we would go in there. We had our shit memorized and everything. We weren't reading off anything. We go in there, knock it in, boom, out.
Is there a certain song that pretty much put a stamp on you that you guys are Triple C?
Well, we had a song called Central Coast Click.
Yeah.
But, we already had the name Central Coast Click already.
Would you say that was the one that got you out there?
Yeah. I think the one that really got us out there was The Curb. That song, The Curb, featuring Sarah S. That was on the second album, Here Comes the Triple C.
So as far as the first one, though, what do you think?
As far as, as far as the first one, I want to say maybe it might have been Leva Die with featuring Little Rob. Might have been like the first one because by that time Little Rob already was hot in the streets already, and he already had a name, so that really helped that song kind of push along. Well, people already kind of, it was a familiar voice already, you know, and our voices were new voices, but
that's
you heard
actually the first time that I heard from you guys. That's where I heard the name, and then that's how it would start a lot. I would listen to one artist, and they would have somebody featured, and then I would just follow it from there.
Right.
And
so
that's how I heard about you.
That's pretty much I think mostly everyone's story that I ever heard us for the first time. You know, at that time, that's probably what they heard was the song with Little Rob.
Yeah. And how did that actually come about?
A homie had invited me out to a barbecue, and we recorded that song out of his pad on the 4-track. That was one of the demo songs. That wasn't the studio version. That was one of the demo songs that we recorded, and we pretty much realized we weren't going to get them to come back to record in the studio because they were working on their own projects and they had their own things to do. So
you weren't in touch with him at the time?
No, I wasn't. That was pretty much the first time I had met Little Rob.
And who's the one that threw out the offer out there?
My homeboy Rudy Ook.
He told him about you?
He actually was working at a pirate radio station out in Grover Beach called Excellent Radio. And what happened was they invited Little Rob and Shadow to go down there for an interview.
That's why they were out here.
That's why they were out here in the first place. And I guess they might have crashed out that night and got a room down here. And the next day they said, "Hey, we're gonna have a barbecue, bro. You guys want to come down for a barbecue?" And they said, "Hell yeah!" So my homeboy Rudy hosted a barbecue and invited them down, and then invited me down. So I took the 4-track down there and took advantage of that.
So your homie planned it out for you.
Pretty much, yeah. If it wasn't for Rudy, there wouldn't be no Little Rob Shadow feature on that first album.
So, what actually went on that day when you guys recorded? You gave them the sample first.
Everyone was drinking and eating tri-tip and ribs and rice and beans and fucking having a good time, partying down. And I brought.
You let them know a little bit later, or right in the beginning?
I waited a little bit. I didn't I didn't want to just walk in with the 4-track and look all fucking starstruck and desperate and I need you on this fucking. I waited a little bit and kicked back, and I brought it. My homeboy Rudy looked at me, goes, "Hey, bring that shit in." So I brought it in, and we hooked it up to the player and just started playing the shit.
So they just heard it first.
They heard it first, and
what did they ask? Well, what's that?
Yeah, they asked what's that exactly, and I said, "Oh, it's this shit that we're working on, bro." And I told him, you want to jump on it? And Little Rob's like, "Yeah, fuck it." So I gave him the mic, and he ripped it. He killed it. Yeah, he killed it.
So that's the one that Little Rob was on.
One take. He went through, did his take. There was no punch-ins or nothing. He did his take. We went back. He doubled it, and then did his backups, and that was it. There was no starting over or fuck-ups or anything. He killed the whole thing.
Is that how you were used to working, or is that the first time you
we actually did get used to working like that because we were working with tape. So when we first started recording, there were no undo buttons when it comes to tape. You know how sometimes you can undo something because you didn't like that portion that you just recorded? You couldn't do that with tape. You know, you either get the whole thing right, you can punch in, but you can't undo it if you didn't like what you just did.
You have to redo it.
Exactly, you have to redo it.
So that was the song that was featuring Little Rob. Which song was featured with Mr. Shadow?
It's called "I'll Kill You," and that has Shadow and Little Rob on it.
So then you asked Mr. Shadow to get on that one as well?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wanted him on the Leva Die song, but my homie T Dre had already threw down a verse, and I liked his verse, and I didn't want to get rid of it, dude. I didn't want to get rid of it. It was a dope ass verse. Which, I mean, if you think about it, that's the Central Coast Click, CLS, and Little Rob on one song. If you really think about it, I don't think people really put that all together. Right, that's a legendary piece, and people don't. I think a lot of people look past that. You know, that's not something that's gonna happen every day. But I had that other song too. So
Did Shadow want to get on that one?
Shadow wanted to get on that one, and I wish it would have been longer. Because can you
decline him?
Can you? No, I mean, I didn't want to. I wish the song would have been longer so we could have put him on there, because I know he would have spit some fire on that motherfucker. But I brought out that other beat, and they both jumped on that one, and that was dope enough for me to.
The 2020 remix.
Yeah,
bring it out. Never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So then he got on the other song and he was feeling that one?
Yeah, definitely. He jumped on that one and killed that one.
What was it like working with Shadow?
Fast. He was very, very fast. He did, and what I liked about Shadow and the way he recorded is that his parts were super clean. Like when he doubled his he did the first take and then he doubled it. And it was just, there was nothing off about it, nothing. You know, sometimes you double and you can hear the voices. I call it train wrecking because you can hear, like you can hear the voices kind of overdubbing, like not so clean.
Not smooth,
his dubs were very clean. And that was an early time for him when he, you know, towards the beginning of
Which now people just, they line them up with a computer and it's easy to get them to match up.
No, but at the time
then,
with tape, you couldn't line shit up. Yeah.
So what would you say you learned from that experience that day working with people that were already in it?
I mean, I think most of my learning has just been working with multiple people throughout the years. I don't think it was just one learning experience. I think it just added to the experiences of me recording different people.
Pick up little things from different sessions. You would
exactly. It's never just one session for me where I just specifically learn something. It's learning a little here, learning a little piece from here, there, and everywhere else. I could say that was a fun session. That was a good. You know, it was a good fun session.
That was one of your memorable ones.
Yeah, memorable ones.
So how many albums did you guys actually put out with Triple C?
I want to say six albums. Because we're working on the 7th album right now, as a matter of fact. Oh,
so still to this day?
Yeah, definitely.
Besides the one that's coming out right now, when was the last release?
The last release was 2000 actually.
Wow.
2001, within that little bracket.
So you put out, what was it, about 6 CDs within 4 years? Or?
Yeah.
That's a hard work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, we were always recording, and actually, to be honest with you, it never really stopped. Like we never stopped recording, even though we weren't releasing anything throughout the years. We had continued recording songs here and there. I mean, some of the older songs, I would polish them up now. Like I'll go back to a song that we did in 2004. And open it up and say, all right, I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. We're getting rid of this. Let's record our verses over. Boom. You know? Just because I liked the song, but I felt like we could polish it up more.
And you're able to do it.
And I'm able to.
Yeah. Which would you say had the most success?
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
That's a hard question. That's a good question because it's a hard one. It's hard to answer. But I want to say, damn. Let me take a look at these real quick. Between the first three, which is Underground
Just
for
show
Life.
The stack. It's all of them.
It's between the first three. I want to say we're the most successful because it was our introduction to the world. Those first 3 CDs. So I want to say those first 3 are probably, and then the second 2 came along right after that. I want to say.
So after the stack of CDs that you guys did, what made you want to branch off and become a solo artist?
I think I had always been working on songs by myself throughout the time that I was doing Central Coast Click songs. I didn't know. I knew at some point I was going to want to release them. Some of those songs that, honestly, that I did by myself turned into Triple C songs. So I had just been working on something and I would show Rebel, do you like it? He'd be all, hell yeah, let me jump on that. All of a sudden it's a Triple C song now. You know, so I had always been working on just songs in general. And there came a time where Rebel got kind of busy with family and you know, wanting to spend time with his kids and things like that, which I understood. And he understood the fact that I wanted to continue making music. So at that point, I had told him, hey bro, I have way too many songs just sitting here, dude, that I'd like to get them and put them out and do a solo album. He's like, dude, do it. I'll do it.
That's good. He still had your support.
Oh, dude,
there was no falling out or anything.
He was super supportive of everything. You know, he's like family to me, you know. He's my brother.
Yeah. So what was the name of your first solo album that came out?
It was called Love It or Hate It.
How did that one do?
It did great. It actually did really good. I was kind of sketchy on how it was going to do because it was, you know, Rebel's face wasn't going to be on it. His voice wasn't going to be on it. But I ended up putting him on a couple of songs on it, to be honest. And and that made me feel better that he was on my solo project. He might not have been on the whole theme, but he was he was on a couple of songs, which felt pretty good. And you know, that let the fans know that he was supportive of me. You know, that let them know without him having to say it.
Yeah.
You know, he's on the album. You know, and you know, it's a branch off the Triple C anyway, or should I say the Triple C is a branch off me? Either which way you want to look at it, you know.
So, what was the first hit single on "Love It or Hate It"?
The first single was "Your Love Is Bomb," and we got some good radio play off of that one, and people were digging that.
Who was playing that? Just a certain DJ or
E-Dub from Pocos Pero Locos was playing the shit out of that one. I gave him a copy of the album and asked him, Dub, what do you think the first single should be? And he said, "Your Love Is Bomb."
That's the first time I heard you on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's right. And he played that one first, and then he thought that "Good Times Bad Times" featuring Crazy Boy should be the second single. So he pushed that one, and it did good. It did good, and it's funny because we thought we had the song called "Love You Right" that we thought was going to be a single, and that one didn't do anything close to what the other two did.
So they pushed that one out too?
They pushed that one out too. And then I had a third single called "Think of You," featuring EJ and Don Cisco. And that one did pretty good too.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going to hit.
Yeah, you really don't. I think when you're creating music, you might have an idea of what you think is going to hit, but when you see people gravitating towards like a certain single and a lot of people are gravitating towards it, then that's probably your hit. Because in your brain, you might be thinking, "Oh, this song's the shit. This is going to be the hit." But you sometimes you really may not know. Me being a DJ, I can pick out a hit most of the time, and I think this song's going to be good. And because I'll play it and I'll see the dance floor, everyone will jump on the dance floor. So that's what makes
from experience, so that you
exactly
know.
That's what makes me want to make music like that. Is like, okay, if I was a DJ, would I want to play this track? You know, so I get inspired by thinking that way.
So besides that project, how many other solo albums did you put out?
Just one other solo. This new one that I just finished up.
One that you just
That's my second solo album. So it had been years since I had put anything out, actually, as far as my own personal projects or Central Coast Click projects.
And what drove you to put out the album that you just dropped?
Around 2008, I joined my boys for Throwback Sundays, which was created by DJ Wicked. He had created Throwback Sundays, and it was a special place where DJs can come and play funk, and they could play pretty much what we were talking about earlier. They pretty much could come and play whatever they wanted to play with no people requesting anything. You know, it was an internet show where they could actually see us cutting up on turntables and you know, pretty much spinning and playing music. He invited me down there to spin some funk and have an interview, because I hadn't had an interview in a while at that time. So they interviewed me and did a quick little interview, and then I spun, and then they liked what I was spinning, and it kind of felt like family, like instantly. So they invited me back to do another set, and when I went back, that's when Wicked asked me if I could do the theme song for the show called Throwback Sundays. So at that point, I had went home, created the song, brought it back, and they played it, and it was I didn't rap on the song at all. All I did was sing and did some funk. It was like a funk song.
And it got a good reaction.
So at that point, I thought to myself, I think I could do more of this. And that's why I ended up doing a whole funk album at that point.
I love the album. I was hearing it on the way over here. And like I was telling you, it's a timeless sound. No matter what, you won't get tired of it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, bro.
Now, as far as production, do you produce your own beats, or how'd you get started into production?
Yeah, I produce my own beats. I started producing during the first album, actually. I've always been obsessed with production and making beats and things like that, and I always wanted to see how far I could go with it. I think production is one of my strongest points, because I spend so much time producing and producing for others. And I like experimenting. I like figuring out chords. I like playing, digital drums, normal drums, anything that has to do with keys or things like that. I get off on it. So, pretty much that's.
So you're self-taught.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm self-taught, but I actually learned. I had people help me too. With any, you have to have some sort of a guide. Like I think T-Dre had brought me he had lent me his drum machine. I think it was a 505 TS 505 or something like that, a Roland, and he had showed me how to program it. TJ from Cali Lifestyle. And he had showed me how to program it and left it with me. He said, dude, just come up with something for it. I know you're quick. You'll learn it. But he pretty much gave me a quick little
breakdown.
A little breakdown of how it worked. So he was the first person to show me how to work a drum machine. After that, I just got obsessed and kept, fucking with it. And when he came back, I showed him some of the shit I made. He was like, oh, shit.
Make more.
Make more. And, so that was my first experience with that. After that, I kept going and pretty much crafting it on my own as far as drums, digital drums and things like that, sampling. We used to go into the studio with CLS before we started rapping. And I remember taking some of my records and stuff like that. He had heard me play some of the stuff and it was like, dude, can we sample that? I go, dude, let's go. So I had taken a couple of albums into the studio. I think we had done Sugar Free by the group Juicy, and that's how they end up doing the Sucker Free song off one of my, I was in there helping them with production with that. And then they had another song called Freakin', and it was Ray Parker Radio, for those who like to groove, was the song we sampled. So we sampled that, laid some drums over it, and I did some scratching on that song on their first, what was it? The Mexican Invasion. It's been a while since I've heard that album. But yeah, I did some scratching on Mexican Invasion. It just helped them with the little things here and there. And that was like my first time being involved in production like that, And
that shows your talent early on, that they were reaching out to you to do it.
Mm-hmm. Before we were even rappers, that was my first stab at production. And after that, I kept as a producer, I kept expanding, and I want to say during the first 3 albums we did a lot of sampling and a little bit of creating. Mostly it was putting drums over samples, cutting samples up, and things like that.
Eventually, it evolved to you creating everything yourself.
Right. That was during the 4th album, after we had left Underworld and started our own label, Artistic Records. I started working with this cat named Daryl Dawes, who is a motherfucker on the keyboards, dog. He is a motherfucker on the keyboards. And me and him were kind of working together, and he was my musical keyboard mentor. And because he was so good with his keyboard, he was also, I think, in church, he did a lot of the arrangements when it came to choir and things like that. So he helped them with harmony arrangements and helped me through that. He helped me learn how to do harmony arrangements. He helped me with a lot of singing. Sarah S. helped me craft my singing as far as starting in the beginning and singing and things like that.
Like we mentioned earlier, you picked up little things from everybody to you create the Dominator sound.
Exactly. So it wasn't truly self-taught, because it's not like I locked myself in the room and there was no one around me. There's all these even people that are self-taught still learn it from someplace, whether they're watching it on YouTube.
They get inspired from something.
Exactly. You need to understand they're not self-taught, like their brain just teaches them. They have to pick it up by either seeing it, copying it, or someone. No one's really truly self-taught if you really think about it. You know what I mean? They have to have heard it somewhere in order for them to take it and run with it.
So eventually, throughout your career, who else did you start producing for?
I did the earlier years. It was Cali Lifestyle. I had done some production for them in their earlier years. Sarah S. I produced her whole first album, and that was the first time I had ever wrote a whole entire a song with singing with no rap in it for her. I wrote her first single, "You're Number One." I wrote.
And what'd you think about that experience?
Oh, that was fun, dude, because it took me a long time to write it because I had never written a whole entire song.
Just used to rap.
Exactly. So for me, writing that for the first time was it was dope, dude. It was dope. But I had.
Did you hesitate with it, or you could figure out the form?
What I did was I wrote it in a way where it was a guy talking to a girl, and then all I did was once I finished it, I flipped the words around, from he to she to he, or whatever. I turned it into a girl talking to a guy, but it was originally a guy talking to a girl, and I just kind of flipped it back around once I finished with it, and then gave it to her and produced it. So her whole first album I produced. After that, it was just, a bunch of people here and there. I had done. It took a while for people to realize it was me producing my own records and things like that before people started hitting me up. I had done some production for Capone. I had done some production for Criminal,
which I didn't know you were a producer either until I would read other people's credits. Because I would look at the albums and I would always read the credits, and I would see your name in there and I'd be like, oh, shit. I didn't know you produced too.
Mm-hmm. I did some writing and production for a lot of people, man. Too many people to list.
So you've had a pretty lengthy career. Who are some of the features that you've had featured on your albums?
Well, I'll start with the album that I have out right now. The album that I just barely put out right now. And I have some features, and it's crazy because most of my features in the past have always been mostly guys and girls. And on this album, since it's all singing, I have only girls featured on this album.
Yeah, I realized that on the way over here.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it works because I'm singing and they're singing, so it's a combination of
a good melody.
Yeah, it's a combination of having that female voice in your project, and that works really good with funk and R&B. So some features I have on this album would be Lolita. She's featured on a couple of the tracks on there. She's
on some of the music videos.
Yeah,
too.
She's super dope. Yeah, she's on some of the videos. Carolyn Rodriguez. I think I just have one song with her on here, but me and Carolyn have so many songs that are about to come out.
Yeah, I like that song that you had produced actually for Mr. Criminal featuring
Carolyn Rodriguez. Yeah,
I forgot the name of it, but that was a badass song.
Yeah, y'all know that track was sick, and it got a lot of views too. Yeah. It got a lot of views on YouTube. But yeah, me and her have a lot of projects coming out. That we have some oldies and stuff that we did. I have where I've been featured on some of her albums. Her featured on some of my stuff, and that's one of them. And we have more coming up. Me and her do. And who else do we have on here? Let me take a look at the CD. Kayla Marie, of course. Kayla Marie is the one that I did when I was talking about Throwback Sundays.
Yeah,
she's the one that I did that first song with. Was Kayla Marie. So she's on 2 tracks on this album, and me and her have a few more tracks for the next album also coming up. And of course Sarah S. Sarah S. She's someone that I've been working with through my whole entire career, and I had to put her on this album.
And you've maintained a good friendship throughout this whole time.
Yeah, hell yeah. From the very beginning till now, we've never stopped working, And then some of the other albums, if I look back at some of the Triple C albums, some of the features we had, like I said, Shadow, Little Rob, Brown Hood, my homie BHD, Cali Lifestyle. Take a look at these. Don Cisco, EJ. What else do we got? Prophecy. Prophecy was someone that was started on the first albums. He was like very lyrical. It's been a while since I've done anything with Prophecy. I think it's been a few years since we've done anything, but Prophecy was from Napomo too. He was from the area that I was from. He was super killing it with his lyrics, dude. He was like a very good MC. And my homie Dreamer, he was also someone from my neighborhood, from Napomo. He was young when we first started. Dreamer was. That's another feature that was on I think he came in on the 3rd album, on the Underworld Family album, Dreamer. As a matter of fact, the Underworld Family album, that was kind of like I want to say it was almost like a compilation because we had like
so many features on it.
So many features on that album. It was a Triple C album because me and Rebel were on everything, but we had a lot of features on that album. It's which why I feel like
I thought it was a compilation.
I feel like it was a good album because it was well rounded. But yeah, me and Rebel were on everything. Sarah was on this one. Prophecy was on this one. Brown Hood was on this one. And my homie DY was on this one too. CLS was on this one. So everyone was kind of on that project. Well, as far as two other features that we had two old school groups on that we had featured. We had featured a SOS band that we had done, and then later on did a remix with Mr. Criminal for his album, and me and him kind of swapped. We swapped features. We both did remixes. He said, "What remix would you want to do?" And I said, "I want to remix the song with Nate Dogg. We'll remix that for me. We'll remix the one for SOS Band for you." So we remixed that one for him and remixed the other one for me with Nate Dogg. So we kind of swapped remixes on both of our albums, which was super dope because I always wanted to work with Nate Dogg, and he had already passed. And I always thought that me and Nate Dogg, our voices would complement each other, because a lot of people always tell me all the time, you're the Mexican Nate Dogg, you know what I mean? Which is, it's super dope because I've always looked up to Nate Dogg singing. So we pretty much swapped mixes, and that's pretty much it with the features I could think of.
It's a long list of features, yeah.
Oh, the other group besides SOS Band we worked with was Confunction. We had this song called Baby Girl that also got a lot of radio play through Pocos Pero Locos. He played the shit out of Baby Girl. That was off the what album was it? The Masterpiece album. Michael Cooper of Confunction had flown in, and at the time he had went into the studio and nailed that song, and a lot of girls love that song. It's called Baby Girl. What do you expect?
As far as music videos, how many music videos do you have out? You just have 3 that recently came out, right? Actually 4.
I have altogether I have around 7 music videos out, because besides the 5 that I have on this album, which I actually have more videos coming out for this new album. I also have Always y Siempre that I had done with E-Dub and Kool-Aid for their label. Mm-hmm. So that was another one, and I can't remember what the other video is, but some of those videos get lost once you're working on new material. Yeah. But that was one of the songs that I had done, because I had started a oldies album with them, with Pocos Pero Locos, and hopefully that album can see some light sometime soon.
Yeah, the video that first got my attention that I really liked was Love Rejection. That was pretty funny.
Love Rejection, yeah. Yeah, with all the role playing in there.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you pretty much got into character. Have you ever thought about actually going into Hollywood and becoming an actor?
Yeah, I'd like to dabble in it, and maybe not be a full-time actor, but I would definitely.
You don't have an agent or anything?
No, actually, I don't. I've done a little bit of acting here and there. As a matter of fact, Mr. Criminal's putting out a new movie now, and it's called The Final Ride, where I done a little bit of acting in that movie.
What character did he play on there? Can you say?
Kind of like a supportive friend. It's almost like my friend's son is going through some drama, and I knew his dad, and he's going through some drama, and some shit happened with his car, and he's just having a lot of shit, and I'm kind of comforting his son.
So besides a music video, that's the first actual role that you play?
Yeah, in a movie, yeah.
What'd you think about it?
It was dope. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot because I was able to channel another character and kind of use whatever knowledge that I have as far as being someone. I mean, I've never had a son or anything like that before. I don't have any kids, but I would think if I was going to, be supportive like that, I put myself in that person's shoes, and it was dope.
It was deep.
Yeah, it was deep.
Say if you do eventually get into acting, what type of characters would you like to play?
Pretty much anything that I can relate to or anything that I can study. You know what I mean? I could do a crazy person. I could do, a silly person. I could play someone that's hard. I could play a lot of things. Anything. Pretty much anything. There's boundaries, of course, things that I wouldn't want to do, but
yeah, for sure.
but I mean, as long as it could fit, it could fit my character, and I can imitate whatever it is they need me to imitate, I would do it.
So what was the first song that you actually got radio play with?
The first song that we got radio play was a song called True off the 3rd Central Coast Click album. And I remember hearing it on the radio. a DJ had seen us rock a show, and he had seen the way the people reacted to it, and he kind of picked it up and ran with it, and wanted the single, and he played it, and they spun it over and over and over again.
So that was a local DJ, you said? Were they able to do it? Or?
No, it was a mainstream radio station, but it was a DJ that the station was maybe like 2 towns away from where we were at. So he got a hold of the single and pretty much spun the shit out of it. And then the second single that he spun on that station was Dangerous, which was crazy because we had to recut vocals for the radio version because we cussed a lot. The hook says you can't fuck with us. So we were like, what the fuck are we? I don't even remember what the edited version said. I think we put funk. You can't funk with us.
So as far as the first song that you had on the radio, what was your reaction when you heard yourself on the radio? Because it sounds different than when you played in your car.
I tripped on it. I was super happy, jumping around, and just I remember I turned it. It wasn't in the car when I first heard it though. I think I was at my house and it was playing on the house stereo, so I was able to turn it up loud.
Did it give you like extra motivation to keep going?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And as far as major stations, which one was the first radio station?
E-Dub was, I want to say that was the first major station because his show was syndicated to a bunch of different states. Anywhere where they would play,
How far did it go?
Anywhere where the Latinos were pretty much based is where Pocos Pero Locos was syndicated to, So, Colorado, Arizona, Washington, Utah, anywhere pretty much where there was a good amount of Latinos is where that station was syndicated to.
Did you notice a bigger fan base after that?
Yes, we pretty much had a big fan base in all of United States because our CDs were getting distributed to those areas anyway. But that pushed it further to people that hadn't heard our music and were radio listeners versus people that bought CDs.
Find it underground.
Mm-hmm. So it did kind of push our audience a little wider, definitely.
As far as your new album that you have out now, do you have any songs on the radio?
At this point, not really. I'm just pushing it myself. There's not really too much really going on. It's different now to try to get radio play than it was back at that time. At that time, DJs were able to kind of push around their own music and kind of put whatever they wanted in their mixes. The DJ was definitely, especially that DJ that had the 5 o'clock hour, had that 5 o'clock hour mix while people were driving around, had the option to play whatever the hell they wanted to play in their mixes, versus now it's more like corporate where the program director will tell the DJ, you're not playing that. This is a list of things you can play. And if you fall around, exactly, if you fall off that list, you're out of here because I have another DJ waiting in line that will play everything that's on the list. I don't give a fuck how dope you are. I don't care how you blend. This is what you're going to fucking play. And back then they were a little hard, but not like they are now, the program directors. So, it's pretty much corporate.
So there was one song that you would pick, one single from your new album. Like I was telling you, they're all bangers, but
that's a hard one, dude, because I feel, when you create
it's the same sound, but they're still a little bit different.
When you create a project, you almost feel like they're all your children. Each song represents a child, so it's hard to say this is my favorite child. But
as far as what you think the listener might want to
I'll pick 2. And I think that they would be Scandal and If You Want Me Back. Scandal's featuring Lolita. If You Want Me Back is featuring Kayla. And they're the first 2 songs on the list. Mm-hmm. So I put my first 2 favorite bangers on at the top of as far as what I felt people were going to feel.
So you purposely put those 2 as the first.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much says it all. The first 2 songs that are up there,
So for all the DJs out there that want to listen to some really good music by Dominator, this album right here, Time Traveler, you guys need to get a hold of it.
Yeah, if you like some funky ass shit, because it's full of funk. I don't really like to toot my own horn, but I feel like it's one of those albums that doesn't have any fillers on it. Some albums you'll listen to it and there'll be fillers where you kind of feel like you have to pass songs up. And I feel like this album will take you on a journey and you really won't really have to forward anything on it. It's one of those songs that you could just albums that you could play the whole thing and just kind of let it play without really having to change it.
And it's true. That's what I mentioned to you when I got here. I told you I was listening to it on the way over here, and I didn't have to hit forward one time. Now, as far as the title Chicano rap, is that something you embrace, or is it something you feel hurt you in your career?
I just look at it as a title, and it's pretty much just there. You know, it doesn't affect me too much. It doesn't hurt me.
Because some people don't like it.
It does. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it doesn't bother me, and it doesn't hurt me. But I won't go out of my way to say, hey, guess what? I'm a Chicano rapper. You know what I mean? Because I think I offer so much more than just that, being, you know, with what skills that I have, you know, as far as, like I said, being a DJ, singing, production. Look at all those things. Those are things that are involved in music in general. I could produce for anyone.
Pretty much a one-man show. You do it all.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and yeah, those things have been involved in our music, but like I said, I think I'm well-rounded enough to be, you know, pretty much whatever I need myself to be. But the Chicano rap, the label doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it's never really tied me down to anything. I've been able to get into areas that a lot of people won't be able to squeeze into.
That's what I've always thought. Some people don't like it and they try to steer away from it. But I feel like if you're dope enough, you're going to stand out either way. They're going to listen to you anyway.
Exactly.
Chicano or not.
Exactly. If you're dope, you'll be able to cross over to whatever you need to cross over to, you know? Look at Bash. Bash has crossed over way the hell over. That he's became a household name, you know?
And he started pretty much as a Chicano rapper.
Right, as a Latino.
With
Latino Velvet. You know what I mean? Look at all the people he was working with. They were all, you know, Latinos.
So who are some of the Chicano rappers that you looked up to when you started off in the game that you would bump?
I mean, you know, everyone always heard pretty much Frost was like the first, La Raza was like the first Chicano rap that I ever heard. So I tripped. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, you know, that made me proud. Brown and proud. Lara Shade Brown was probably the second. And Mellow Man Ace, I want to put him in that category, even though he might not be a Chicano rapper, but he's still a Latino rapper.
And embraced by all Chicanos.
Exactly. So I want to say those are the, you know, the forefathers of Chicano rap.
So let me ask you, I've been asking all my other guests too, if there was a Mount Rushmore of Chicano rap.
I just pretty much gave it to you.
That's who you would throw on there?
Yeah, I would put them because they were the beginning. They were the beginning of it, you know.
Let's go to some social media questions now. This one's from Instagram, and this follower wants to know, what was it like working with Jenny Rivera?
Oh shit, that was super dope, man.
A lot of people might not know that.
Yeah, we did some work on the Philly Brown movie. E-Dub had invited me over for to do some work on that movie, actually. Around that time that I was working with Jenny, I was also working with Gina Rodriguez. We had done some work for the Philly Brown movie, and I had done some work with Gina, but while I was working with Jenny, I remember David Salas and E-Dub, they were all working on this song for Jenny, and they were kind of working on the music, getting the music end of it done. And they didn't have any lyrics or anything yet, but they were kind of working on the music, and they wanted kind of like an oldie-based song. So they were working on that, and also Miko, Edward James Olmos' son, Miko. So yeah, Miko Olmos was playing the bass guitar on there, and we were all in the studio pretty much. And I was there to just... Actually, I was there working on stuff, like I said, with Gina. So I was just sitting there while they were working on the music. And while they were working, I started getting this melody in my head. And I was like, oh, shit. So I started writing words down for the melody that I had. And halfway through them working, I didn't tell them what I was doing yet. About halfway through, I said, hey, I think I have something for that. So I started singing to them what I had for it. And they're like, oh, shit. You know? So we pretty much finished the whole entire song. Jenny came in and I was coaching her. It was so dope, dude, because I got to coach her through.
That's a trip that you're coaching her.
Yeah, I was coaching her through her, how the melody goes and, the phrasing of the words and stuff like that. I was coaching her through the song. And
how did she react to that? Was she okay with it?
Oh, yeah. She called me into the vocal booth to help her, because at first I was sitting outside of the vocal booth kind of talking to her through the console so she could hear me through the mic. And she said, Dom, I need you to come in here and just help me out. Just let me kind of know what it is that we're doing. So I went into the vocal booth and kind of ran it down to her and coached her through it. As a matter of fact, I think someone I don't know who it is. There was someone documenting the whole process. And
wow, where's that footage?
Dude, I've been wanting that footage forever.
Do you know who has it, or?
Someone that was on set there was documenting. He was there just to document pretty much the whole film, and they got me coaching her, and I'm dying for that footage, dude. I don't know who has it.
There has to be a way to find out who has it.
Yeah, it was dope. She went in there, took a couple of shots, and then started nailing it. Pretty much killed the song off. She
seemed hella down to earth.
She was super down to earth. She was a sweetheart. As a matter of fact,
She didn't act like a diva?
No, not while I was there. There's a clip on Instagram where, because they they had told us not to take any cameras into the studio, and I busted out the camcorder, and I go, Jenny, got anything to say? And and I filmed her, giving me a little shout out, and
that's cool.
Her talking about this. Yeah. No, not at all, dude. She was totally. I don't think she even cared. They just didn't want to make it uncomfortable for her, which I understand. You don't want to fuck it up and drive the person that you need to take care of what you need to out of there, yeah. But I took the camera out anyway, and I filmed her, and there's a clip of her giving me a shout out on Instagram. Did anybody
tell you something afterwards? Like,
no,
hey, we're
no,
supposed to do that.
No one told me anything. No one told me anything. I think I'd done it sneaky enough. I filmed her and then put it away real quick, all crazy, all sneaky.
That's crazy. Imagine if you would have done another song for one of your albums featuring her.
Oh man, that would have been
legendary.
That would have been dope, super dope. Well, Down did a track with her. Remember Kilo Down?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on one of his tracks. Which I know Down's my homie.
Yeah. Like all his music too. Try to get an interview with him.
Yeah, you should get an interview with him.
All right, the next question's from Facebook, and the follower wants to know: can you ask him who recorded his music video Scandal?
Most of my videos are recorded by myself. Like I do whatever recording I can, and whatever I can't record, I either have my homie Crazy Boy, or my dad. My dad will help us. Pops will come out and help us hold the camera. Who's ever available. But it's either between us three recording it, and pretty much that's my team for that.
What do you use to record?
Actually,
your videos look real clean.
I use a Panasonic Lumix to record my videos and a stabilizer.
And you edit and everything yourself?
Yeah, I do all the editing myself. So it's either my dad or Crazy Boy helping me.
So what made you want to do it yourself, just not depend on anybody? Or are you just too picky with all your projects?
It gets pricey. It gets fucking pricey. And not only that, I feel like when you're in control of recording, you can pretty much take as long as you want. If you have to do that shit over and over again, you're not on the clock. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I feel the same way about recording music, actually. Like
you're in your comfort zone.
Exactly, and you can take as long as you want, and you can come back to it if you didn't like it.
If it's rushed, sometimes it's not going to come out how you want it.
Exactly.
So is there artists out there that you would like to work with at one point of your career that you haven't worked with yet?
Well, in the last interview that I had just barely done, I done an interview with Tony A, my homie.
Which a shout out to Tony A. He's doing the interviews like nobody else has done it so far.
Yeah.
To a whole nother level.
Yeah, Tony A's taking it. That's the dude right there, man.
If you haven't followed him, follow him on Rhodium Radio.
Yep, Rhodium Radio
on YouTube.
It was a dope interview, actually. He did a dope interview on me. I was happy. That was like one of he actually took me out of retirement for doing interviews. Hadn't done an interview in about 10 years when he interviewed me.
It's been that long?
Mm-hmm, about that long. But back to your question, he had asked me, and I had said Bruno Mars. And that is one of the artists I would love to work with. But there was a couple of other artists that I actually would like to work with too. One would be that group Tuxedo, because they do modern funk just like I do modern funk. They're super fucking dope, dude. Tuxedo has that funky soul sound to them. And I dig that. I like that, because they sound authentic. They don't sound like they're trying to do something, they just did it, you know, versus, oh yeah, they sounded like they're trying to do it. They don't sound like they're trying. They fucking get straight to the point with that shit.
Have you reached out to them to try to do something?
No, I haven't. Well, my reaching out to people with modern funk was putting an album out first. I didn't want to just reach out to these people and then not have nothing to back myself up, you know. Oh, you're a dope ass artist. Will you work with me? Fuck no. I wanted to have a body of work first, and then boom, this is what the fuck I got. Let's get together and do some work, you know. So they're one of the groups that I would really love to do some shit with.
Where are they based out of?
I'm not sure what they're based on. I just know their music is dope and funky as fuck.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. There's some dope ass motherfuckers, and another artist that I would like to work with is Trish Toledo. I think she's super dope. She's
a good collaboration right there.
Yeah, that would be a definitely good collaboration because I sing oldies too. Like I like doing shit like that. Original.
Is she aware of your music?
I believe so. I think at some point Dub had told me he had showed her some of the stuff that we were doing in the studio. Yeah.
So if you hear this interview, Trish, hit up my boy Dominator. Let's make it happen.
And you should interview her too, because I don't think I've seen her on any interviews.
Yeah, that'll be another good interview.
I haven't, not that I've seen anyway. That would be a dope interview.
So you've had a pretty lengthy career going on over 20 years. Where has your career taken you traveling?
All over the states, actually. I've been to Idaho, Arizona, Salt Lake City, Utah, New Mexico.
All the states where you'll find raza.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, all those areas.
What about out of the country?
Not yet. I actually should be I need to be going out to Japan. I need to be going out to France. I need to be going out to, you know, Germany, all those places. And I know for a fact that there's funk lovers in those places because they message me on Instagram, you know, because of social media. I do know that those areas bump my shit. I love that shit, dog. There's nothing like knowing that some place way across on the other side of the globe, they're playing your shit in that area because
it's a whole different culture. That's the trip.
Exactly. I love that. But I need to be venturing out into those. I would love to venture out to those areas. Unfortunately, it just hasn't happened yet, but I know it will.
Yeah. So 7, if you're listening to this,
I'm ready, bro. Let's go to Japan.
He's been ready. Shout out to 7.
What's up, 7?
All at Halified Camp.
Hell yeah.
So out of your long career, what do you think contributes to your longevity?
Just pretty much staying involved in production and making music as often as I can and working with people. Pretty much enjoying. I think part of longevity is enjoying what it is that you do. You know, if you don't enjoy it, it's going to get old and you're not going to want to do it anymore. But I think that that helps with the longevity because if you're happy with it, you're going to keep creating. If you keep creating, more people are going to hear it. The more you create, the more people are. So I think it's being happy and creating pretty much.
You never gotten to the point where like, I'm tired of doing this already?
No. As far as music, no. There's been times where I'm exhausted and burned the fuck out.
That's different. Yeah.
But all it is getting some rest, getting some sleep, sitting on something for a couple of days and getting right back up and starting over again. But as far as being like, no more music for me. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of people. I'm tired of the business. I'm tired of people ripping me off. I'm tired of that. None of those things have ever affected me wanting to stop music. Nothing has ever affected me wanting to stop music. And music is, I think it's something that'll always last until I can't hear or until I die.
Can you picture yourself doing anything else? Say if you weren't doing music, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing music, I would probably be wanting to teach people music.
Still music related?
Yeah. I like helping people. I like to help people bring out the best in themselves. You know, that's part of what I like about the music business is bringing someone in here and making them sound as good as I possibly can. So it would probably be that with something else. It'd probably be acting, helping someone be a good actor or helping whatever the fuck it is. I like making someone, bringing out the best in people, bringing out the best in whatever you do. I want to make you do it better. That's what I like doing that.
So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment throughout your whole career?
In music?
Yeah.
What we were going over that earlier, and I think I have a lot. All the little accomplishments that I have together have created, the just the goal of accomplishing all my little accomplishments. I think that's what my greatest accomplishment is: being able to get through all the little accomplishments, being able to add all those up and create a mountain of work that I have. Pretty much the mountain of work. That's what my answer would be. The mountain of work that I have, everything that I've done all together is my big accomplishment.
What I really admire about you is that you're able to do this for a living, that you don't have to do a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You're able to live off of your music, doing something that you love.
Yeah. And I think part of that is being able to step back when it's time to step back, because at a certain point it does become work, and it could get to a point where it's not so fun, and what you need to do is just step back for a little bit and then come right back into it again. And that's what you'll want to continue it being your job,
Just need a little breather real quick.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the kind of person that loves breaks. I think that's what refreshes as far as my music and things like that. I like taking breaks.
The album was a 10-year break.
I like taking breaks because I feel like when you step out and you step back in, there's ideas that are going to come to you that you may not have came to if you're just burned out the whole time.
Yeah,
if you
refreshes your memory.
Exactly. If you keep burning yourself out and you don't take any breaks, it makes it to where you're uncomfortable. You're not having fun with it. But I think a break, even there's times where I'll be working on something for 10 minutes and it'll take a lot out of me, so I'll take a fucking break. Then there's times where I'll be able to work 3 or 4 hours straight without a break, but then I'll need that break. So there'll be times where I'll work 10 minutes, take a break, another 10 minutes, take a break, work 3 or 4 hours, and then take a break. But I like breaks. I feel like they're refreshers.
And you need the break, especially when you're in the booth. Your vocal cords, especially because you're singing.
Yeah, definitely. I take a lot of breaks in the middle of verses, dude. There's some people that are monsters. I'm a monster when it comes to recording, because I'll slave myself and I'll make myself do a part over and over and over and over and over again. Like I will crack the whip on myself like I want. For some other people, I'll crack the whip on them, but not like I do myself. I'll kill myself to get that verse done, but I also like to take a fucking break.
So we're doing the interview here in your studio. Do you mind showing us a little tour of your studio?
Yeah, let's go. I'll show you whatever you want to see, man.
Let's check it out. So we're here in Dominator's studio. Yeah. You want to show us around?
Yeah, check this out. So this is all my vinyl. I got all my funk on right here, pretty much. These are LPs. These are funk 12 inches. I got my West Coast rap, or should I say all my hip hop is in this area. I got all my reggae down there. It's kind of hard. If you look down there, you could kind of see where the reggae's at down in that area.
Is that Smile Now Die Later?
It sure is. It got some frost right there, just sticking out, ready to play. These are my computers, my monitor. This right here is what I used to sequence my beats. This was the Atari computer that I was talking about in Tony A's interview. A lot of people have been asking me about that. But this is actually a computer with a mouse. People think it's all about video games, but this is definitely a sequencer computer. Right here is the screen for that computer. This is the sampler that I started at the beginning of my career when I used to cut stuff up, and I have 2 of them. I would cut it up. It's a Remix 16, a Kai Remix 16.
And all this stuff is still fully functional?
Yeah, it all still works. I could fire it up and make a beat right now. This is the Roland VS 1880 where I record my vocals on. And everyone else's vocals that comes through here. I usually record all my vocals on here and then transfer them to a recording software program. But this is where I do the recording because it's so easy to record on here. I like recording on here. So this right here is my processing tower, where it has pretty much my effects. We got the Yamaha. This has like reverb and delays and all that shit like that. Outboard gear. This is the compressor. This is another effects unit. This is the CD burner for this actual machine. And then we got a mini disc player, equalizer, CD burners. This is a patch base to everything to come out, all the the ins and the outs for all these machines. We got a tuner and another CD player, and then 2 cassette decks down there. They're double cassette decks. So I do have cassettes in here.
Do you still use cassettes for your recordings?
No. I just have the cassettes to transfer anything in and out.
Old material you had?
Yeah, old material. But I do use this still, and this is a reel-to-reel. This is pretty much what they used to use back in the day to record vocals on. And I still use it because I like the sound of it. You know, pretty much you're guaranteed to have a definite throwback sound when you're using that motherfucker right there. These are my monitors that I use to mix everything down. This is my turntable coffin. When we're finished going through the rest of the tour, I'll open it up so you guys can see my 1200s.
That's one we mentioned earlier?
Mm-hmm. No, this is my newest coffin.
Okay.
The other one was the old school coffin that I used to have. I don't have that coffin no more, unfortunately. I wish I would have kept it. So I got my instruments, you know, some congas, some bongos, I mean. And I like that machine. I really love that machine so much that I just keep them laying around. So I've got a couple spare of those machines. Got my CD racks right here.
For those who ask, is any of your stuff for sale?
My CDs?
No. Equipment?
No. I never get rid of my equipment. And then up here we got all different needles for the turntables. Got a bunch of needles in here. And then over here we got the vocal booth. So in the loco booth, we got a bunch of vinyl and shit up on the wall. And if you look a little higher, you'll see a bunch of percussion shakers. My homie Crazy Boy actually got me this in Hawaii. He had just barely recently went out to Hawaii and picked me up a shaker, which is super dope, you know. So not a lot of friends will think about things like that and instruments and shit like that. You know, my niece made me this. All my family and friends always get me a bunch of things like that.
They all know you.
Got this kalimba. This is a Middle Eastern kalimba. We got that. We got a bunch of another pair of bongos up there. Another box full of shakers. And then if you want to come down here, we have a bunch of older keyboards. Those are the earlier keyboard Casios and things like that. We got a Roland. This motherfucker right here is the Juno 1. That's funky as fuck. More Casios. We got a DX100. This was one of the keyboards that Roger actually used. Not this board, but this is the model. Yeah. This is the model that Roger used in his later days to do Talkbox, the DX100.
How many of those do you have?
2. I got 2 DX100s, and then I got this guy's another thing that has some good funk on it. Obviously haven't pulled it out and used it in a while because there's a gang of fucking dust at the top of it, and this is the mic. So you guys are in the vocal booth. This is where we do a lot of our vocals. History has been made in this booth. Brittonwood's been in this motherfucking booth.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Mr. Criminal's been in this booth a lot.
How'd you get Britton Wood out here?
I think we had recorded a track for Sarah S.'s 3rd album. And we recorded Brittonwood out here.
That's cool.
Pretty much, man. So that's the studio. Thanks. So these right here, these are my babies. These are my 1200s.
How long have you had these for?
I got these. Actually, my homie Nathan Zarati actually kicked me down these. He goes, "Hey, Dom, I got some 1200s. I'm gonna give them to you." I was like, "What?" So he just kicked them down. He just gave them to me, and I want to say that was in maybe 2001. 2001. He had just given me these. Gave me some 1200s, and I was like, "Oh, dude, that's like the ultimate gift for a DJ."
And he gave them to you just because?
He gave them to me because he's my homie.
That's a homie right there.
That is a homie right there. But these are my 1200s, and I've been spinning on these ever since. So shout out to my homie Nate Zarate.
For sure. Let's go over some tattoos. I ask a lot of my artists if they can share some of their tattoos with us. I don't see any on you. Do you have any?
No, I don't.
Really? The reason why not?
Nothing in particular. I think I just haven't found anything that is meaningful enough to me to want to print on my skin. You know, the thought's there. You know, if I could get a tattoo, it would probably be if my firstborn, if I ever have one. You know, or you know, my group, Central Coast Click. You know, something that's meaningful. If I'm gonna get it, it's gonna be something that's meaningful. I just haven't found anything to print on my body yet. You know, so I'm pretty much got some virgin skin.
So it could happen. You just
it could happen. It could. I'm not ruling it out.
Not against it.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but I just, as far as right now, I have nothing on me.
As far as future projects, what do you have out? This is your latest one. I hear Time Traveler.
Yeah, for the longest time, that was my future project. I kept telling people it's the Time Traveler is my future project, but now
what took so long to put it out?
What took so long to put it out wasn't because I, was working on it this whole entire time. It was because I was doing a lot of production for other people.
So you put it in the back burner. It was just kind of whenever you had the time for it.
Yeah, whenever I had the time for it, and not recently until these last 2 years, I really pushed really needing to finish it. I was like, this is taking too long. Fuck this. So I start putting other people on the back burner and just really killing that album off. But during the first few years, the first four, maybe the first 7 years, it was doing a lot of production for other people, you know, living life, doing things besides that. And I want to say the last couple of years, I really went hard on saying, okay, let's finish this motherfucker. People need to hear it.
What kind of response have you been hearing from people?
Oh, people love it, dude. Especially people that like funk. Even there's people that really never heard too much funk, and they heard this, and they're like, dude, I like this shit. It's different, you know?
Because being Dominator, you would expect a rap album,
right?
But I consider this more a funk album.
Yeah, funk and soul, I want to say. It's like a funk soul album.
A modern funk.
Yeah. But as far as that project, we're definitely releasing another Central Coast Click album. It's our first album in 19 years. It's been about 19 years since we released anything.
How soon will that one be coming out?
I want to say like maybe a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months.
We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. There's two albums.
Summer?
There's 2 albums coming out. One is called The Lost Tapes, Central Coast Click The Lost Tapes. And what that is a bunch of our earlier stuff that we had done that had never gotten released. I'm taking those tracks and I'm kind of putting a polish on them, maybe adding verses that are empty gaps. Maybe it's the song needed a hook, but it dates anywhere from 97 to maybe 98 within those years. You know, a lot of the stuff that is still there but never got finished. That's one project that we're doing. The other project that we're doing is nothing but new material. It's called Triple C7. That's the name of it, 7.
Which one will be released first?
Whichever I finish first. I'm kind of working on them simultaneously. Yeah.
Wherever it goes.
Yeah. But a lot of the Triple C7's pretty much finished. I just need to do a few things to it to kill it off, and that album's super close to being done. So it might be that album first. Might be.
Now, as far as the Time Traveler is concerned, I thought I heard you were going to put this on vinyl as well.
Yeah, I plan to. Actually, really soon. Within a month, I want to press that on vinyl. And I think it might take a month for them to press it. So
that's not too long.
Yeah, that's probably, within a month, whenever I get to, giving them the master and doing everything that needs to be done, it'll probably take them about a month to get it back to me.
How many copies were you planning on pressing?
A few hundred at first, and then see how those go, and then
I think the demand's going to be there.
Yeah, I want to start with a few hundred, and then based on that, that'll let me know how much more to press after that. So limit. Not only that, limited pressings are worth they're worth more when they're limited pressings.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
An investment.
If it becomes in demand, then I'm gonna have to press more after that first batch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that,
dude.
I'm getting one for sure.
Just to see that on an album cover. I mean, look at it. It looks like an
album. I'm gonna have to put a close up of this so you guys can see the artwork on this album.
It looks like an album. It looks like it's perfect for a record. When I got the cover designed, it's funny because the album that album's been finished for about a year already. Honestly, the music has been finished for about a year, and
so you're waiting on the artwork for it?
I wasn't waiting on the artwork. I was waiting for someone to design it. I didn't know who was going to design it, and I just kept searching and searching all over the place. I was looking all over the web, and then I finally found the guy named Danlish, And I had seen his artwork, and I was like, oh my God, this motherfucker is dope as fuck. So finally, you know, like I said, I thought his album work I thought his artistic work was super dope.
Where'd you come across his work?
On Instagram. Someone had referred him to me, and once I seen the work, I fell in love with his work, dude. He had done a lot of shit for a lot of different artists. He's out of the UK. So I sent him everything that I needed, pictures and ideas, and you know, pretty much what I wanted. And when he sent me the draft, just even the draft alone looked dope, you know. So after that, I said, okay, this is the guy. So he finished it up. As soon as he finished it off, I took the album, mastered it, and then put it out right away.
You were happy with everything he did on it.
I was happy.
You didn't
with
have to ask him to change anything on it.
Yeah. So that's what took. That was like a year, pretty much a year of trying to figure out what the fuck I was gonna do for the cover. But I knew I wanted something, you know, like you know, the Parliament drawings and the Funkadelic drawings and Zap and some of the album covers that had like cool ass drawings and shit like that. The album's called Time Traveler, so I felt it needed something like that, you know.
Yeah, he nailed it. That's
nailed
exactly the images that I think of when I see it.
Yeah, he nailed it, and it's totally me.
Yeah.
Like when I look at it, I know it represents that everything that I stand for, pretty much, as far as music and, you know, everything. It has a rounded futuristic keyboard, and I'm traveling in it, and it's a time traveler machine that he pretty much created me inside of. It's dope.
So did you tell him what to put on there, or that was all his imagination?
I told him pretty much I needed it to be a some sort of machine. I didn't know what he was going to come up with, you know, and it was his idea to come up with the floating girls, kind of like kind of like a tribute to like the Nucleus album, the Jam On It album. There's floating b-boys on there, kind of in the same stance, but he turned it into sexy girls.
Now, as far as merchandise, what kind of merchandise do you have for the followers?
I got shirts that I'm pressing up now, actually, that they'll be able to order from me. And what I'm doing is pretty much, instead of just buying a bunch of them, I'm just going to pretty much take orders, ask people, you know, what sizes they have, instead of being stuck with a bunch of triple X's.
Pre-orders?
Yeah, I'm going to do pre-orders. And
what's going to be on the actual shirt?
The album cover.
Album cover?
Yeah. I think I'm going to do like tank tops for girls, and then regular tees, and pretty much black tees for right now until I'm able to redesign something for a white shirt.
How soon will that be available?
It should be available soon. Like I'm saying, within this month, I'm thinking.
Any other merch?
CDs, the old Triple C CDs.
You still have the old stuff?
I have everything, pretty much everything.
So if they want to get a hold of it, do they just hit you up directly, or is there a website?
Yeah, no, you can hit me up, DM me on my Instagram, and I'll
mail them out.
I'll hit you back and get everything going. PayPal.
Oh yeah. So when you're not here in the studio, what does Dominator do for fun?
I pretty much, music is my fun. I like to watch flicks. I like to go. I go for hikes and shit like that. Just exercise and eat. I like to eat for fun. That's what the fuck I like to do, actually, is eat and cook. Pretty much. That's
get some donuts after this.
Yeah, we're gonna go get some donuts.
So what's your ultimate goal that you would like to accomplish in the music industry?
It's pretty much to be able to make and create music until I can't no more, until I die. That's pretty much my goal, man.
So what are your favorite spots to eat here in Santa Maria? I know we went to La Coqueta right before the interview. Is that one of your spots?
Yeah, I actually go there for burritos all the time. But that's one of my favorite. But you know what I really like to do, Doug, is I like to cook my own food here at the pad. That's where I like. That's my favorite spot to eat, is here at the pad.
So you're a chef too?
Yeah, pretty much.
Chef Dominator.
If you check out my Instagram, which most of my fans, that's what they know me for, is cooking. I mean, I make music, but if you check out my stories, I like to cook and talk shit.
What do you like to cook?
I do a lot of breakfasts. I'll do eggs, chorizo.
Breakfast is your forte?
Yeah, breakfast. But sometimes I'll do something. I like to do different things. Like I'll do enchiladas. I'll do homemade tortillas. I'll do whatever I feel like making, something different that day.
Cause you can hook it up with the homemade tortillas?
Oh, yeah. Flour or corn. I'll do shit like that. This next week, I think I might end up doing funnel cakes. I might do funnel cakes just because it's different. I like doing. I always hear people complain. Oh, every year I can't wait till the fair comes because I want to get funnel cakes. I'm like, bitch, you can make them in your fucking kitchen. You can make them in your kitchen, and it's not fucking hard. You know what I mean? So I like to do different things because it trips people out. They're like, oh shit, I didn't know he knew how to make that.
So where do you get your recipes from?
I learned a lot of cooking from my mom and my dad. They both have cooked and showed me when I was young that, you know, to learn to cook. That way you would never have to depend on anyone for that shit, you know? So I enjoyed doing it. I used to make tortillas all the time when I was little.
Now, are you a good cook? You can be cooking, but...
Oh, well, everyone that's tasted my food is always...
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone... Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say I am a good cook, but I can tell you other people have complimented me on my cooking throughout the years.
You hook it up.
Yeah, I hook it up.
Remember, you've mentioned too that you might do a YouTube channel on it.
I was thinking about doing a YouTube channel. I'm still thinking about it. I'm also thinking about how much work it would be and what it would be taken away from me. You know,
here in the studio.
And anything that takes away from the studio turns me off. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a girl taken away from the studio, I'll get turned off. If it's, you know, anything that's taken away from me being creative in the studio, I don't need that shit in my life. You know, so if it does take too much time away from me creating musically, then I'm not for it.
How many hours would you say you spend in the studio actually creating?
Is daily or throughout
or
the
you
month?
Here every day or?
Yeah, I'm here every day. I create every day. Unless I'm a little burned out, like I said, maybe I'll take a day or two off. But for the most part, I'm here every day, and it's hours. I don't even put a clock on it. I don't put a clock on it because I feel like if I put a clock on it, it stops creativity. So I just get in there and work until I don't feel like working anymore.
So what advice do you have for any new artist that's trying to become an artist?
I would say not to give up on whatever it is that you do. It doesn't matter if someone tells you you're not good. Fuck them. What you need to do is keep learning what it is that you need. Whatever your goal is, just get better at it. Make yourself get better on it. Be self-disciplined. Do whatever you can to learn whatever it is you need to learn to get better. And I would say, don't be afraid to copy people, because if you're afraid to copy people, you're not going to advance. You know, a lot of people say you need to be creative and think of shit yourself, but the truth of the matter is you have to learn from somewhere. You know, you're not going to, like I had a conversation with him earlier talking about being self-taught. No one is born being self-taught. When you come out, your first words are things that you've heard from someone else. That's just the way it is. No one learns the language. Let's say you're a child and you get stuck on an island. You're not going to know any language. What language are you going to know if you don't hear other people speak it? And that's the same thing with music. If you need to hear other people play it, you need to listen to something and study it to learn it, then do that to learn it.
So do you have any shout outs before we go?
You know what? I just want to say to my mom and dad, I want to thank you for supporting me all these years through my career. You know, without them, pushing me and helping me and supporting me, I wouldn't be where I'm at, you know, because there's parents that will support you and there's parents that won't. And I was lucky enough to have parents that did support me, you know. So I want to shout out my parents. I want to shout out anyone that's been involved in my career. Anyone, you know, all my friends. There's too many to fucking name. So if I start naming them, I'm going to end up forgetting someone. So I want to shout out to all my family and anyone that's been involved in my career. Thank you.
There you guys go. The interview with DJ Dominator. Hope you guys enjoyed it and found out some interesting facts that you might not have known about him. And make sure to look out for his future shows coming out, his merchandise he has coming out. And for sure, pick up the album, Time Traveler. You won't be disappointed. Thank you again, DJ Dominator.
Thank you for having me, homie.
Yeah, and that's it. We're out. Hopefully we'll link up another time.
Hell yeah, for sure.
We're out. Peace.